Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstrow of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for your City Manager's Report, your source for all of the local latest and greatest news and updates happening right here in our city of Oshkosh, as well as a preview of the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, March 14th, 2017. I'm your host, Emily Springstrow, joined as always by our City Manager, Mark Roloff. Welcome, Mark.
Great to be here, Emily.
Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, happy to.
So we're going to go ahead and dive into the first half of today's show, go over some hot topics, and then take a little break and return with a review of the meeting for the Common Council agenda for Tuesday, March 14th, 2017. So Mark, first thing that we want to talk about in the first half is State of the City. It's only about a week away now. I can't believe how fast it's come this year. It's just crazy.
It's fascinating that it's already March and we're getting into State of the City. Real excited about it. I always look forward to this event.
Yes. So Monday, March 20th starts at 6 p.m. It's at the Oshkosh Convention Center, and is there any kind of preview that you can give us about what you're going to be discussing at your address this year, Mark?
Every year we try to add some element of input and feedback from the public. And so what we did this year was we, as you know, we hit the road and started talking to different community groups to get feedback from them. And we really use that as a basis for what the program will be. A lot of times we don't really know what the theme will be until we've talked to folks. So we literally hit the road, met with service clubs, went over to the university, met with a group at the local Culvers, just to hear from them and what ideas, things that you like, don't like, want to improve, always wanted to know about the community. And we talked to folks, got some feedback. Of course, people wanted some insight into what was going on. It's like, I need to hear from you. So a lot of questions that we got from audiences, and we got great feedback. And so that's the type of thing you're going to see. So I'm not going to tell you what I heard because that'll ruin the surprise. What I'm going to tell you is March 20th, 6 p.m., come to the Convention Center, and you're going to hear what your fellow residents told us and some of the things we're responding to and what we're working on.
Yes, definitely. And it's always a fun process. And I'm always along with you when you go out to these groups. And it's really a cool thing to see the interaction that you see between the residents, between you and them, and just hearing what everybody has to say. So really good program lined up for this year. One of the most important parts of State of the City is the expo portion. And that is when we have the chance, all of the city departments have a table, and you're able to just go face to face and have a conversation and ask questions. And it's just really a great evening.
Look at the activity that you see. This goes on from the time the doors open at 6 p.m. and even after I give the State of the City address, people are still, and to say mill around means like they're just standing around. People are actively talking to each other about different ideas. Sometimes it's just resident to resident, but a lot of times they're coming up to a department asking a question, curious about something that they may or may not know a lot about, and we fill them in on things, and every department has a little something to show people. And then we also ask a few community groups. I think Oshkosh for Education is one of the community groups that we're going to have out there this year. The idea is for us to just tell people what's going on in Oshkosh that they may or may not know about, and then get to meet with their neighbors, and we get great feedback, which is to me the best part of that. And it really gives us guidance to what we're going to do for the following year. And like I said, every department's there, and we get some great feedback, and I can't wait for March 20th.
That's what it's all about. State of the City is interacting with the community. And also we'll be honoring some of our residents who have been serving on boards and commissions, as well as some standout community groups, which I'm not going to give those away either. So once again, Monday, March 20th, 6 o'clock doors open. Mark's address will begin at 6:30. And definitely come out and take advantage of it and meet with our city officials and departments. Next item we want to talk about, Mark, is the police department. They recently unveiled their new website, and if you haven't gotten a chance to look at it, it's really cool. What are some of the things that they kind of were looking at when they wanted to do an update?
Well, you always want to refresh your website. It keeps people coming back to it because people think it looks static and everything. Mm-hmm. So they've redone a lot of great photographs, but what they also did was they they identified what the most popular destinations were in the website, and they have those very easily accessible right up front. Whether it's something about parking or records or the police blotter, which seems to be a really popular thing. And it also has their social media links, which is used so much by residents. And residents give us great information on things that are going on in the community. And there are eyes and ears out on the street, and they give it feedback to the police department. So we have a great website talking about things that the department is doing. So I'm very excited about their update. I think it's going to direct more people to the website, and when they get there, they're going to get through it a lot quicker, and then they can move on. If they're looking for a little piece of information, they're going to find out right away.
Yes, and it's engaging, and that kind of goes with their mission, know us before you need us. So they want to encourage people to go check out their website, learn a little bit more about the police department. So you can find that by either navigating through the city website, otherwise I believe it's oshkoshpd.org. Next item we're going to talk about here, last week was the Guns and Hoses hockey game. And Mark, you were out at the game. How did it go?
Well, it's always a fun event. It's our police and fire departments and some of their friends from neighboring departments to do a fundraiser, a charity event, a hockey game. Some of these folks are reliving some days from their youth, including with some council members who were actually reffing.
Yes,
Councilmember
so
Peck
cool.
was out there reffing, but the council members were there and helped with the dropping of the puck, the inaugural one. But
and it gets pretty competitive.
It gets very
They're
competitive.
very talented.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these folks played, hockey in their youth, and they get to do it again. Family members are there, but it's also a great community event, and it's also a good outreach for people to meet members of the police and fire department because they're in their vehicles and they're running around doing things. And again, it's a get to know everybody.
Yes.
But the main reason they do that, Brett Hamer with our fire department started this a few years back, and they always pick a charity, and this year it was the Like a Prayer Foundation. It's a group that helps terminally ill to achieve the bucket list items. It's you've heard of those types of things before, and they were able to raise almost $2,300 towards that cause, and it's just such a wonderful thing. And I think the police department actually fulfilled one of those wishes just recently with somebody wanted to be a police officer for a day. So they did that, and that's how this organization works. So it's just fascinating. Now for the
who were the winners? I have to ask.
Well, the police department can celebrate their new website, but they can't celebrate. The fire department won 5-3. That's why Brett's smiling so widely on the right side there, because Brett puts this on, and if he doesn't win the game, it's like, boy, a lot of work for nothing. But they got that trophy there. They've got bragging rights for the next year. Also, brand new uniforms this year.
The uniforms are so cool, and that's kind of a partnership too. They kind of use that as a chance to help out other partners too.
They got a great sponsor who helped donate the uniforms, and the fire uniforms are in the motif of a fire truck, and then the police department, it's the little shirt and tie that it
like
simulates
a uniform.
that. So it's very cool that they were able to get those, and actually they were selling off the old jerseys. So retro jerseys they were selling again for the Like a Prayer Foundation. So it helped raise other monies as well. So it's a wonderful community event for a great cause, Like a Prayer Foundation. So I'm so proud of what our police and fire department do to reach out to the community and really give back. And if you saw some of those guys walking around the next day, they gave a lot after a hockey game. Being on the ice for a long time, they can feel it the next day.
Oh yes, definitely. Well, it's always a fun update to give about the Guns and Hoses hockey game. Really a positive thing. And speaking of positive things, the next thing that we want to talk about is the Bucks. Now, this has been kind of something that's on every list that we're talking about here, Mark. What is the most current update? What are some of the fun things that we can hear about?
Well, the council at the last meeting had approved the lease agreement, and that set the wheels in motion in terms of getting the construction started. So construction has technically started, and it's really getting the foundation and those things done. So that's moving along. Our goal was to get them started by the 1st of March. We met that goal, and we're very pleased that that's all that work's starting. The next phase is they want to do a little more getting information out, doing more promotions. And so I was informed just today that they have a groundbreaking ceremony tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, March 29th at 3 p.m. over at the site. That's really all I know. I was asked to kind of save the date, and it's out there, and we'll be getting more information out, but we certainly want people to know about it. It's going to be, my understanding is rain, snow, or shine, so look for that. But the whole idea is to get people interested and excited about the project, even through the construction phase.
And people are definitely excited. If you ever scroll through Facebook, that is a lot of what you're going to be seeing about people talking right now. And we do have a Buck staff update later on in the agenda portion of the show today. So we've got just a lot of really great news pertaining to this topic. So thanks for the update, Mark.
Oh, we're going to keep it coming.
So now it's that time of the show. We're about halfway through, and viewers have the chance to ask their city manager anything they'd like about things that are happening right here in Oshkosh. It's the question mark segment. So let's go ahead and see what the question is this week. All right, Mark, the question is, what is the big cement block structure in Menominee Park? Very descriptive, big cement block structure.
Well, we had to figure this out, but I have a feeling it was somebody who hasn't been by Menominee Park for a while, because the block structure I believe they're referring to is the Melvin Avenue lift station. This was about 6 years ago or so. We had a neighborhood meeting to discuss how we were going to address the massive flooding that took place along Melvin Avenue. All the cross streets you'd see flooding because the area there is so close to the lake that there's water in the storm sewers, and that just creates so much or so little capacity for our storm drains that you were getting flooding with minimal storm events. So what we did was we built a very deep storm sewer to accommodate stormwater getting out of there, and it drains down to a very deep storm sewer that drains all the way down to Menominee Park. And then this structure is a lift station to take the stormwater and lift it up and pump it into Lake Winnebago. So the whole idea is stormwater control. It has had great results. I have had numerous conversations with folks along Melvin Avenue, and they so much appreciate it. It did add a structure to Menominee Park, which was absolutely the downside to that project, but it was so necessary to address stormwater. We took a look at many different options. Some of them would have involved taking out multiple houses, houses that are in very good shape. Somebody said, well, why don't you take out that house and that house and that house? But the reality was you couldn't take out just the houses that people didn't like in the neighborhood. They had to be strategically placed. So we really ruled that out as an option, and ultimately felt that the best thing to do was to put a lift station there. And it has had great results. You hear me talk about stormwater projects all the time. That was definitely one that was much needed. And I know there was actually another follow-up question with that as well. When's it going to get removed? It's not likely to get removed because it does serve a valuable stormwater management function for the near north side, and I think we need to continue that.
Definitely. Well, it's interesting, you drive through Oshkosh and you see things and you're like, what is that? So if you ever have a question, definitely send it to us. And we actually found that question on Facebook, but if you would like to ask a question to Mark for City Manager's Report, send it to us on Twitter at City of Oshkosh, post it on the Oshkosh Media Facebook page, or if you are still using email, you can use @ci.oshkosh.wi.us. Go ahead and send it there and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. So we're now going to take a quick break here, and when we return, we're going to go ahead and look at the Common Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, March 14th. We'll be right back on City Manager's Report.
Hello Oshkosh, I'm City Manager Mark Roloff, and I'd like to invite you to the 2017 State of the City Address and City Exhibit Expo. This year's event is on Monday, March 20th at the Oshkosh Convention Center. Doors open at 6 p.m. and the State of the City Address will start at 6:30. Following the presentation, we'll honor some standout community members, and we'll close out the night with the Expo, where you can interact with city staff and learn more about ways they're making Oshkosh a great place to live and visit. Monday, March 20th at the Convention Center. We hope to see you there for the 2017 State of the City event.
Come explore the world of Jan Brett at the Oshkosh Public Museum. Original artwork brings the beloved children's stories to life. Explore your way through this fantastic exhibit and meet some of your favorite Jan Brett characters. Discover the world of Jan Brett on display through May 14th at the Oshkosh Public Museum. For more information, visit oshkoshmuseum.org.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. Now we're in the second half of the show. We're going to go ahead and hit the Common Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, March 14th, 2017. So there's nothing on the first page that we're going to talk about today, Mark, so we're going to go right to the second page under consent agenda items. And first thing that we want to discuss is the approval amending the assessor fees for new construction to establish a maximum fee. Now, for someone who doesn't know anything about this, what exactly does this mean?
Well, you won't know much about it unless you are building a new building. And a few years ago, the council instituted a fee to help cover some assessing costs. When we assess a property for the first time, there's a lot of work that goes into that. And the council approved a fee for brand new buildings so that we would reassess or buildings to get added onto in that. But as we've had a few years of experience, for bigger projects, there really is some economies of scale that it doesn't take as much work to do a larger building because the visits and the work that goes into it is pretty basic. There's a lot of stuff that happens regardless of the size of the building. So we believe that it's appropriate to establish a maximum fee that we know that we aren't going to incur costs above that threshold, so we're setting that maximum fee. And we've had some complaints from people legitimately that they didn't feel they were getting value for that, so we've reevaluated it and we're ready to make that recommendation to council.
Okay, so what is the cap?
The cap will be $10,000, so obviously that's a pretty big project. To give you perspective, the arena project was going to get valued at about $16,000. So in this case, that would top out. So big projects like that would get capped, and I think that's appropriate. And I think moving forward, we're going to take care of those things.
Definitely. Well, thanks for the background on that. Next item we want to talk about Resolution 17-99, grant noise variance request for the construction of the arena and related improvements on the former Buckstaff property. So there we're going back to the Bucks again here, and this one's more, it's focusing on the noise that's involved with the construction. So tell us about what the variance is.
Every construction season, you're going to have people that want to get going with their construction projects and get them done on time. And we are under a very tight timeline to assist the local folks to get the arena done in a very short amount of time. And part of that involves getting it done by that November date, and they normally are authorized to start at 7 a.m. What this grant, this variance request is to let them start at 6 a.m. So it'll be during daylight hours, and that obviously causes some consternation with folks. But because this is relatively away from neighborhoods, it is across Main Street, so some of the neighbors in the immediate area will get notified so that they're aware that the council is considering this, and I think that's fair to them. We're hoping that 1 hour won't inconvenience them a great deal. Usually it's getting set up so that it takes a while to get everything set up in the morning to get whatever the daily activity is, but they want to be able to have that permission so that they're very upfront with people about their activity. And as you can see, there's still a little bit of work left to do, but for those who are very familiar with the Buckstaff site, a lot is down now.
It's amazing. I was going to say, look at the progress that's been made. I mean, it's just blows your mind.
What little bit of the building that's left is really in that one frame shot. That's all that's left. Now, there's actually three things going on at once. One is the remainder of the building going down. The other are the city crews removing the concrete pad, which was part of our settlement with the bank and Buckstaff over getting the property torn down. And our crews are there putting out a pad so that we can get the trucks that are taking out all the materials, all the concrete materials, so they can get on and off the site a lot quicker to keep things going. And then lastly is the actual construction of the arena. So you see the fresh gravel over there. That's where the arena footprint is going. And the machine you see over there is actually putting in what are called geopiers. Basically, the soil stability around there, it's called Sawdust District for a reason. There's a lot of old, not as stable stuff down there. So the purpose of the geopiers is to give some stability so that when they pour the foundation, it is on something. They get it pushed down all the way to some bedrock so they know they're seated on something that's going to be sturdy for the long term. So that's what they do. And so you got 3 groups of people doing different things over there, but one of them is construction, 2 of them is deconstruction. Hopefully that will shift over time. And the idea behind the variance is that once they hit their stride, they want to be able to get as many people working as possible to get this project done as soon as possible.
So exciting, and it's always, I feel like we've talked about it for so long, and now there's all this action that's actually happening. So it's so fun to see. Again, thanks for the update on that, and I bet it'll look even more different next week and the following weeks after that. Next item we're going to talk about is the approval of a special event. That is for Wisconsin's Best Rib Fest and Run. It's not till September 1st through 4th, but it's on the agenda right now to get that approval. How did it go last year?
It went very well. The group actually wants to get their permit so they could start lining up the bands for the next Rib Fest event. It's over Labor Day weekend, and this year it'll be September 1st through 4th. And it went very well. A great amount of planning went into that. Great cooperation with our police department to make sure that we accommodated the crowds and make sure that there weren't any problems, because alcohol served, you want to make sure things are safe there. And just overall, a very safe and considerate to the neighborhood, I would say. So we're excited that they had enough success with it the first year that they're willing to give it another shot. So Labor Day weekend, Menominee Park will be busy, but there'll still be other aspects of the park, Little Oshkosh, the zoo, all that'll remain open. But this area is self-contained, so it'll be exciting for residents and visitors to come and taste some great barbecue and then great music, and then enjoy the park and everything it brings.
It really is a cool event, and this will be the 2nd annual, so we're looking forward to seeing what else they come up with. I see "and run" on here too, so more details to come on that as well.
Exactly.
Under new resolutions, Mark, we're going to discuss here, this is kind of a big item for the meeting on Tuesday, and that's the approval of charges for extraordinary services for special events in 2017. Tell us a little bit of background, the reasoning why that this has even been come up here.
Anytime you have a situation where you're charging for services, that certainly gets people concerned. Our moniker as Wisconsin's Event City has been very successful, and with success goes a little bit of cost and everything. And we have been subsidizing these events at the expense of the taxpayers for a number of years, and in order to cover those costs, we've taken a look at other things we can do to more fully recover our costs. Some people disagree with the methodology we're employing, but the honest truth is that we can pick any methodology we want, but we have to find a way to cover more of these costs. So we actually had a listening session with a lot of the event organizers. I think it was a good event. It was a little stressful, to say the least, but I think we were honest with everybody about what was going on. They wanted to know a little bit more about how the fees were put together. We've provided that information. Not everybody agrees with us, and that's part of democracy. People get to disagree, and so we're going to present various options to council so they understand this is how we put the fees together. What do you think about that? Are there any changes you want us to make? And if you do, give them an idea of what it's going to cost, because everything that we change is going to have a fiscal impact. So we're going to have that information out there, and part of our job is to make sure that public safety is maintained, and that the organizers pay their fair share of the impact of their event on our community.
Right. So when are we looking at for when these changes are going to be taking place?
We've been telling everybody that if council approves it at this meeting, they would take effect on April 1. We've been warning people that we don't know the fees exactly yet, but they know we've already provided them with an estimate of what it would cost, assuming council approves it this way. If council reduces it, that just takes their number down.
Wonderful. So look forward to a lot of discussion at the meeting for this one. Under council discussion and direction to the city manager, as well as future agenda items, we have update on the commission discussion alternative for Jackson Oregon Street Bridge. What exactly is the update on this item here?
The update is that we sought feedback from our various boards and commissions. There's so many different groups that have a stake and an interest in this, whether it's the Bike and Ped, the Parks Board, the Plan Commission, traffic, and overwhelmingly the consensus was that we want to see a rendering before we draw a conclusion, and you can't blame them. The old saying, a picture says 1,000 words. I think they want to see rendering. So our Public Works Department, which has taken the lead on this, has advised the DOT that we do need renderings in order for us to make a recommendation on what we think the bridge should look like. There are cost impacts, and certainly we want to see what the cost differential is going to be, and we've got a good idea of that. They've given us that, but if we don't know what it looks like, how can we really say something? Now, some people have an opinion regardless of the rendering, but I'd say more people than not want to see it. And so we're going to request that. We're probably not going to be getting it until later this month. And so after we get it, then we'll circulate it back to the different boards and commissions. And after they've chimed in on things, we'll forward it to council and they'll give us input.
Okay, will this rendering be available for the public to see once it's finished?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
but we aren't expecting it until at least March 21st, but it'll be on probably all those different agendas, and we'll probably get it on our website for people to get a different view of it. I want to see it, so as soon as I see it, I'll make sure you see it.
So there's a good chance we'll talk about this again on the show.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to do that.
Under City Manager announcements and statements, Mark, we have the report of vendors receiving over $300,000 in 2015 and 2016. What exactly is this item?
This is an item that is part of our purchasing ordinance. This is really about being transparent about where we're spending our money. And a few years ago, we changed it. We changed our policy in our ordinance that said we want to know that sometimes we award contracts without bidding for professional services under $75,000. But we also have a lot of other contracts that either by themselves or cumulatively get over $300,000. So this is a report we provide. We didn't do it last year, so we're doubling up this year to get you an idea of what different vendors have been paid. And now a lot of this includes things like contracts for public works projects that have been bid out. So in some cases it's bid out. In other cases we select somebody based on their expertise. A lot of that's with utilities, with our water treatment plant, our sewer treatment plant, our stormwater system. So we do those as well. But also anything over $300,000 includes our utility bills. So we've got a lot of different things there, but it's really about being transparent to the public.
Excellent. Last item we want to talk about and get in here quick is the early voting in the clerk's office, March 15th through March 31st. We've got a big election coming up on April 4th.
Municipal elections are on April 4th, so early voting starts on March 15th. That's a Wednesday, and it'll go through Friday, March 31st. All you got to do is go to the city clerk's office and bring your photo ID, and you will be able to vote. If you're not available, you're out of town for spring break or something like that, you'll be able to vote, and all you need to do is bring your ID.
Wonderful. Well, we are just about out of time here on City Manager's Report. So Mark, as always, I'd like to thank you for joining us today.
It's always a pleasure.
Again, the Common Council meeting is this Tuesday, March 14th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website at oshkoshmedia.org, or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Make sure to like Oshkosh Media on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all of your community and government programming and updates, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. And don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, send it to us on Twitter to @CityofOshkosh, post it on our Facebook page, or email @ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of CMR. So as always, thank you so much for joining us today on City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.